Hey, everybody, welcome to Code in Place. I'm Mehran,
And I'm Chris.
and we're super excited to have you on this journey with us through the land of programming and learning more about Python.
This is the very first lesson in Code in Place. This lesson is made up of 3 different videos. In this first video, you're going to get to know the teaching team. In the second video, we'll tell you everything you'd like to know about what is Code in Place. And in the last video, we'll actually get started learning Python through our good friend, Carol. And this whole first lesson launches what we think is something really beautiful, Code in Place 2021.
Now it's time to meet the teaching team. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Mehran. I was born in Iran and grew up there for the first 5 years of my life before my parents and I moved to the United States. I grew up in Southern California, down in San Diego, and came to college at Stanford and stayed for graduate school. I like to say I did a PhD in machine learning before machine learning was cool. And if you don't think it's cool now, that's fine. I guess maybe it never was really cool. But afterwards, I went and spent about a decade in industry working at Google and a couple other places, but then eventually came back as a professor because I just love teaching and I love the notion of education. And I think it's a joyous thing that is really powerful. And that was really the reason to come back. One of the things I sometimes do when I'm teaching is I like to use a lightsaber because I'm a big Star Wars fan. As a matter of fact, I have one right here, but I won't break it out right now. But I think it just makes it more fun because teaching is a fun experience. And I think of learning as a fun experience. And when we have a good time doing it, I think it's just better for everyone. Over to you, Chris.
Hey, thanks, Mehran. So as you know, my name's Chris, and I'm also a professor at Stanford. I have the great privilege at Stanford teaching some wonderful classes. I get to teach 106A and 106B. And 106A, which is Stanford's Intro to Computer Science, is one of my favorite courses to teach. And I really caught this bug of loving to teach from Mehran. It's one of the most fun things that I get to do. And because of that, I couldn't be more excited to be here as one of your teachers for Code in Place. I love teaching so much that when I'm not teaching, I actually study how people teach and learn. I run a research lab in computational education where we get to build all these really cool things like future AI devices to help learners and to help teachers, amongst lots of other things. I'd love to tell you all about it one day. Something you might not know about me is I happened to grow up in Kenya and Malaysia. I was born in Nairobi and I moved to Kuala Lumpur when I was 12. And I stayed there till I was 18 when I moved to Stanford, where I liked it so much that I stayed for a really long time. I happened to grow up in these places because my mom was an architect and my dad was a high school physics teacher. And they thought, hey, these are skills that people would like to enjoy around the world. And they used it to go to all these wonderful countries, which was really one of the joys of my childhood. Now, a wonderful class like Code in Place has way more than just Mehran and myself. I want to start by introducing to you somebody incredibly important to the Code in Place 2021 team, which is Julie Zelenski. Julie Zelenski is one of the amazing instructors at Stanford. She does a whole bunch of things in addition to teaching CS106B, which is the class that comes after CS106A. She came to Code in Place to join and lead the team that is training the section leaders and making sure that they have a wonderful teaching experience. Julie is incredible. She's done a whole bunch of wonderful things. She's been at Stanford for a long time, actually ever since she was an undergraduate and she was in the Stanford band. And in addition to being an instructor at Stanford, she's also been an incredible programmer. And she worked for this company called Next with this person called Steve Jobs, where they built some of the underlying operating systems using devices all around the world today. So Julie is incredible. We're so lucky to have her. We're also really lucky to have this fantastic team. As you can imagine, Code in Place is massive. It is a really big program. And to run a really big program takes a whole bunch of wonderful people. This is the wonderful set of people that make up our leadership team, and they're behind the scenes making so much of Code in Place work. We couldn't have done it without this group of people, and you'll be meeting them throughout the quarter. And in addition to these wonderful people, we also have the support of these 2 great platforms. Both this platform called ED, which you already know, this platform called Oye, have been helping to build the sort of teaching environments that could support something cool like Code in Place. And that's just the start. One of the most special things about Code in Place is that we have gathered together 1,200 teachers from around the world to help give you a personalized learning experience. when we started Code in Place, we thought we really would like to be able to have small groups of people meeting together. And so we spread the word out. We said, who would like to teach with us? And the world came together and so many wonderful people applied. We looked at thousands and thousands of videos and we were really blown away by the heart and the love of teaching and the love of Python that all these section leaders brought. And we're so excited to have them join us on this teaching team. Mehran, you know I tell you this all the time, but one of the crazy things about Code in Place is we actually might be the single course in the history of the world with the most teachers all in one place teaching the exact same course. And that's pretty cool. So maybe we're making a little bit of history. So this is the very first video in the first lesson. Come back for the next videos. We'll tell you all about the logistics of Code in Place, and then we'll get started to learn a little bit of Python. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this wonderful journey.